All right, welcome back to the Built to Grow podcast. I'm your host, Tim Lyons, joined by Randy Angston.
Hi.
Made it fast this time.
There we go.
Quick and dirty, guys. We've got a great show for you. This is something that's happening in real time. We're going to give you a little backstory here. We have a little space in our gym here, right? And for the longest, that thing's been a couple things, right?
Yep.
It started off as we're going to spin, we're going to do yoga. That's like years ago we started doing that. We took some of it over. We created this podcast studio out of it. And then the other side was just kind of there, right? During and after COVID, we thought maybe people wanted to do one-on-one in a private setting. So we put strength training equipment, squat rack in there, some stuff, extra stuff that we had. We put them in there. Nobody wanted it. It was really interesting about the clientele here. They're just like, they just don't want to be, they want to be
in the mix.
They want to be in the real stuff. They don't want to be in this room. So we were trying to figure out a way to monetize, and we a chiropractor had come to our attention, and we brought him in, and he was just paying us rent, and the agreement was, hey, we're going to pay you rent, and we'll get some clients back and forth, and I see this happen a lot in gyms that. Or with an outside service where you think that there's going to be some type of reciprocation with referrals of clients back and forth. Not one person I've ever talked to that has a physical therapist or a chiropractor or a massage therapist or a cold plunge place like a cryotherapy when that was big has ever got returned the favor. And the same thing happened here, right? So it is what it is. That's what you have to expect. Meanwhile, you send plenty of clients over there. And so the question came up in the Facebook group by one of our, members of the Facebook group. They were asking like, hey, has anybody ever rented their space out to a chiropractor or physical therapist? And were you the only one that responded?
Couple? I think there was a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And really, what does that look like? And well, the first thing I always tell you guys is never expect to get anything in return. That's just the way it is. Back in the day, our friend Rick Mayo, North Point Personal Training, he had a chiropractor that just rented space, and they had an agreement, but there's really wasn't any like the chiro or the physical therapist wasn't ever like marketing to get clients. They just used the gym for all their marketing because they would just get them from the gym.
Yeah.
And in some way, it does two things for the gym. Number one, it gives you a little bit more street cred. You got a medical therapist here or somebody in the medical profession in your gym renting space. It kind of levels you up a little bit. There's a perception there. And the other thing that, at least in our situation really helped was, if our clients got hurt over the weekend or something, our agreement was like, let's keep them training. Never say like, you can't train unless it's serious. Like if they can't train, they can't train. Let's be honest. But like most times, of PT or somebody's going to say, hey, you need to quit the gym and take rest. And that's the only way. We can work around a ton of things.
Sure.
So at least that he kept our clients busier and not quitting the gym. And that was an absolute benefit. But at the end of the day, you do not get the reciprocation that you expect, because if you send somebody 40 clients, you're expect to get 40 back. And it just never works out. So I don't want anybody to get their hopes up by thinking if I partner with a chiro or a physical therapist that we're going to get a ton of clients from them. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah. And what you have to ask yourself too is like what you're charging rent, right? Mm-hmm. What is the rent per square foot of that usable area? And is that the best use of that area for what you're going to be getting in rent?
Absolutely not. It can or can't be. Depends on
exactly. In this situation, it wasn't worthy of eating up that much square footage for something that just wasn't making enough. So we're coming into this point of like capacity here. And so we need to figure out what to do with the square footage and all the stuff. And so we decided we're going to bring in stretch therapy here. I think stretch therapy is a great addition to personal training because it's the recovery side or the mobility side. We got a ton of golfers here. There's stretch labs and all kinds of stretch places. What's the other one? Stretch lab and that's the only one I can think of, or the name I think
there's another one floating around. Long story short is maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, bringing stretch in like FST, that's been in Arizona since 10 years. Right?
Sure.
It's been around. We've had coaches go get certified.
Yeah.
It's in Chandler. It's right here. But it hasn't really caught on to the mainstream. Like the general population doesn't understand that the manual stretching and all that stuff. Now with Stretch Lab, it's kind of like mainstream. Our clients are getting stretched, manual stretching. So we've got an Iron Circle member, Evans Armin Training out of Delaware, has created something called CNU Stretch, and basically it's a certification. He drops into gyms and teaches your coaches, and great guy, one of our Iron Circle members. We're having him come out here in August, and that's what we're doing next, right? And so I think that and maybe some other services are kind of the right trend, synergy. I'm not going to talk about the other ones that we're doing, but like the stretch makes tons of sense. Now, check with your state, check with your license laws. Do you have to be a massage therapist in order to manually manipulate people? I don't know those rules.
Sure.
I know in Arizona you can.
Yeah.
Arizona's like the Wild West.
It is still very much a wild. I love it for that reason.
Yeah. And so while, the room, we need the room. So, our chiro is going to move on down the street. We're going to still send them clients, of course, when they need that. But, for the business side of it, two things, guys. Unless you're charging a ton of rent, and you can't make more per square foot on your own in a room or a space in your gym, then maybe. But never, ever expect to get referrals. I just can't tell you that's never happened. My next door neighbor was a physical therapist, owned 5 clinics here in town. Mm-hmm. And over the years, he's gone and moved. His name was Mark. Hey, Mark. Definitely doesn't listen. We sent him dozens and dozens of clients. I got a $5 gift card from him once. Yeah. I was like, dude, that's kind of like a slap in the face, right? Like,
sure.
And there was another medical group that we were working with, and for blood work and stuff, we were going to do it with them, but we decided not to because there was no way to monetize anything other than the blood work. So we're going to send you clients and get $200 for the blood work panel that we can mark up from 400 to 600. It's like, data.
Yeah, I was going to say, this goes back to our last episode. I mean, this is interpreting data.
Yeah. So there's going to be times where you're going to be presented with opportunities, quote unquote, for partnerships with chiros, therapists, massage, cryo,
dietitians, nutritionists. Yeah.
You got to look at it from all angles. And unless you're getting business brought to you, you may want to second guess that. Unless there's a huge monetary gain, think about how hard it is to get a client.
There you go.
Your cost per acquisition and the long-term benefits of having a long-term client lifetime value. Again, don't underestimate the task at hand. If you're handing out all your clients and referring them to partners that you expect somebody in return and you don't get anything, it feels like a slap in the face.
Yeah.
Dude, I know how hard it is to get clients and keep them for 15 years. I know how hard it is. But they're expecting you to just hand over the clients. So just be careful. I don't want anybody to be naive about it. Just put it all on paper. I'm sure you can create a synergistic partnership with a bunch of people.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But you have to, again, it comes down to, it has to be a mutual exchange of value. You know what I mean? If the rent if the rent replaced any of the potential desire for referrals and increased revenue from people coming through the business, and you could charge a high rent, maybe that does make sense.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe you don't have to service, and maybe you don't even have to send clients to them. But at the end of the day, is there something that you can replace, like stretch therapy, or something you can bring in-house that has much, much more opportunity and legs? Does that weigh into what you're already providing with a little bit more synergy? Does it make a little bit more sense? Does it complement what you're doing with the gym?
Sure.
Those types of things. And it goes back to, Zach said something on our coaching call earlier that it really resonated with me, because you could bring in somebody else just to do FST and just as an independent contractor and that type of thing. But Zach's question for a lot of that was he didn't have the faith of the people that were actually serving the client. The product was great. What they would receive, he had full belief of. But the people that were in charge, the therapists themselves, wasn't somebody that he would vouch for. So how is he going to be able to send somebody within the 4 walls of your own business to them as to service your clients? That's a tricky, very tricky position to be in.
Yeah.
By bringing it in-house, you guys control that deliverable. You control the expectation, the standard that's set, how it's delivered, all of those variables. You don't have those questions.
Yeah. No, when you have control over that, like the trainers are going to be the stretch therapists, right? Yeah. We're going to get them certified, and we're bringing in some other coaches and stuff. So look, there's opportunities out there if you want to find them.
Yeah.
Right. So Stretch is a good one. If you need his information, just reach out to us. We'll connect you guys. But at capacity is your main thing the best it can be. Is it at capacity? I wouldn't say just bring things in for no reason.
Sure.
Obviously, we had the 5-question matrix, another episode for another day. But for us, the next lot, we're at capacity. Our semi-private training is as good as it freaking is. It's awesome. What else can we do?
Yeah.
And right now it's Stretch for us. And it's, we tried the supplement game. We tried apparel. We have nutrition. That's going pretty well. But other than that, it's literally semi-private personal training. That's everything. That's like 99% of what we do.
And that to us, I think that speaks into our coaching program that creates, like when we talk about getting gyms to 30,000 or the 30,000 mark, we're talking about how to do it within the training component in your gym. We're not we don't recommend bringing in a ton of ancillary profit centers, secondary profit centers and things like that, and deterring from your A game. Let's get the A service, the thing that you're known for right now. Let's get that to that level. And when you hit the $50,000, $60,000 per month mark, maybe you start to figure out, okay, can I get 10% more, per year out of another profit center? Is the juice worth the squeeze, right? Because the decision to bring this in, you guys are partnered with somebody who has the certifications, bringing it in. It's not just you guys deciding to go do it yourself and create something from nothing, right? So even the decision to bring it in is done with intention about going and seeking out who's doing it well, bring that in, and at least you have something to start from. It's not just all work for a little bit of gain or for potential gain.
Yep.
You've
already proven.
Strategically added it to the business.
I agree. So, this episode is really about the partnerships you have, your JVs and things like that. Take a hard look at them. If they're not working out for you, it's up to you to make the change, or it's just going to be that way. So hopefully this helps you guys. I know there's some questions around, do you partner? Do you bring somebody in your gym? I would just say that, make sure it's copacetic and make sure it's pretty damn clear that you're not going to get anybody. Just know that it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Not one person I've talked to in any gym that has a partnership with another outside resource has gotten a steady flow. At least it's not 1-to-1. It's like 10-to-1. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous.
Well, and I think a lot of that, just from trying to come up with a logic around maybe that reason, is just the sheer volume of people that enter a gym versus enter, a PT in a day or a chiro in a day. You know what I mean? They're dealing with 8 clients a day, 10 clients a day for the 150 there walking through the doors of, some of these gyms. So just from a mathematical standpoint, expect it to be a fraction of what you can offer them.
Exactly. So just be careful there. Don't get your hopes up. All right, that's it for this episode. Until next time, keep changing lives. We'll see you on the next show. Bye. All right, thanks for listening to another episode of the Built to Grow podcast. If you want more help growing your business, join our free Facebook group, Profit Accelerator, helping training gyms grow to $30,000 a month and beyond. We'd love to see you there. Go check out the show notes for the link and keep building something great. And we'll see you in the next episode.